right, man. Ndamukong Suh, did he just take a shot at the Detroit Lions ownership and GM Brad Holmes? I think it's more about Martin Mayhew and Tom Wando. But check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Somebody asked Suh a question. They posted Aiden Hutchinson stats. He first for everything. I think he tied for first in quarterback pressures, sacks, and all the important edge metrics. He got 4.5 sacks, and they asked Ndamukong Suh what they think about Aiden Hutchinson. He said hopefully that the GM and ownership is smart enough to build around him. So some of a shot, but Martin Mayhew tried. Nick Fairley didn't hold up his end of the bargain. Cliff Averill, they let him walk somewhere else. And they brought in Ziggy Ansah. He was good for a minute, but obviously a lot of people felt that he was older than what he was, and he couldn't hold up in the league. So they're trying to put some pieces around him, but ultimately Ndamukong Suh, Calvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford, nobody was a vocal leader. And Mayhew had a lot of misses. He didn't believe in drafting corners. He believed in taking these corners like Bill Bentley late in the draft. He believed in going guys like Aaron Berry, and Alex Carter, and guys who never amounted to shit. I always remember in that championship, that playoff game in which they should have won versus New Orleans. I think that was the most winnable one outside the Cowboys championship game, and where Aaron Berry dropped like 10,000 picks that could have iced that game. Drew Brees literally handed them that game. Nick Fairley didn't hold up his end of the bargain. He had one good game. That's when Ndamukong Suh was suspended for snapping on old buddy Hill from Green Bay Packers, which I was working at the stadium back then. I was right there when it happened. It's crazy. And he is still a free agent, by the way. But I was sitting right there when it happened, and he had Nick Fairley showed up one game versus New Orleans Saints in a regular season where he balled out, and that was it. I think when they drafted him, he got in trouble with the law. It was just so much stuff going on with Nick Fairley and those guys, bro. So they tried to, but DeAndre Levy and Justin Durant, they had a good defense one year. It was the year they lost to the Cowboys in the playoffs, and Matthew Stafford just couldn't step up. And the biggest issue with that team is Stafford did hurt himself, but Stafford couldn't. They didn't have no run game. They was running the ball all year. It's kind of like they got to the Philly game in the snow and they started fumbling the ball, but he did try. They just didn't believe in drafting corners high. And the one corner he drafted semi-high in the second round, Darius Slay. Remember, a lot of people wanted his teammate, Jonathan Banks from Mississippi State. Remember, a lot of people wanted Jonathan Banks. And Jonathan Banks was he didn't last long in the league neither. He just wasn't athletic enough, but he was 6'2", long, Tampa 2 kind of corner, jam type of corner, but he just wasn't athletic enough to stick in the league. That's the one time the Lions got it right. It took Darius Slay over Jonathan Banks. I think Jonathan Banks ended up getting drafted into Tampa. That was, pretty much a good situation for him for his skill set, but it didn't work. So they tried, brought in Golden Tate, and it just a lot of issues with that team was defensive backs was trash, other than like Quadre and Glover Quinn eventually got there. But they, the offensive line was trash. They drafted Riley Reef, they drafted Taylor Decker, Lincoln Tomlinson. They drafted a bunch of guys that just didn't pan out. You got to remember, he was there through Backus and Dominic Raiola. Raiola got swole one year and was really good, and after that, he just started doing dumb stuff. They just didn't establish the dominance at the line of scrimmage on the offensive line. They just didn't have no real vocal leadership. So, obviously, I already think if guys are healthy, Brad Holmes done a great job. You're talking about guys like Kirby Joseph. You see if that was a blip or that's the trend. He was a late bloomer at Illinois. You're talking about guys like Jeff Okuda's already here. Jerry Jacobs seemed to come back pretty well. Rod Rodrigo is pretty solid. You're hoping Levi Onizor can get healthy, but ain't nobody really betting on that. Josh Pascal's come in and made plays. Charles Harris made plays. Aiden Hudson, obviously, speaking on him, he a beast. So you ask yourself, if Onizor can come in and make plays and be healthy and do what he's supposed to do, really, you add a Will Anderson to it, or you add an athletic linebacker to go with Rodrigo, I mean, the sky's the limit. Walker come back and there's a lot of ifs in there. You're going to probably move on from Romeo Corey. Probably going to move on from Austin Bryant. You're probably going to move on from a couple guys. So, you know, maybe you're going to move on from High Tide and get more help at the right guard position. Maybe you're going to end up drafting a right guard that really a right tackle, and then you're going to probably move Sewell to left tackle and kick Taylor Decker out in a few. So, to me, Brad Holmes' eye for talent is pretty good. It's just, can we put more emphasis on the healthy part of the talent? But if these guys all get healthy, these guys was healthy to start the season off with, I think, no doubt in my mind, the Lions, hate to say this, it seemed like they'll be running off with the NFC North with the Minnesota Vikings. They would have beat the Minnesota Vikings had they stayed healthy that game. So, to me, it was going to send the wrong message anyway. Jared Goff is not the guy. So, I don't have no issue with it. Of course, there's still people salty about it. You can't get mad at these dudes. A lot of these dudes come to Detroit. They love the city. They love the fans. They love the fan base. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of these dudes' images get hurt. Their endorsement deals get hurt. You know what I'm saying? And when it's time to re-up, they charge the Lions super duper top dollar. If they're a top 10 player, they charge them top 2 or 3 money or top 1 money not to be here. Because you come to Detroit and you don't win football games, guess what happened? You don't get endorsements. You don't get spotlighted. You don't get awards. When you don't get awards, you don't get Pro Bowls and all pro honors. You know, guess what? You start to lose money. And endorsements and incentives in the contract and all types of stuff. So I most definitely understand where they coming from. So I ain't mad at it. People can say it's salty. People can say this, that, and the third, and F and Ndamukong, but it's true. Hopefully they continue to put the healthy talent around Aiden Hutchinson around the offensive special teams, and they can do something. But Glover Quinn was the best safety in the league. It seemed like for a couple seasons or amongst 1 or 2 or 3 best safeties in the league, and nobody knew about it. Then you hire a coach that had no plan for him, and you kick him out. He did all that for the city of Detroit, played at a high level, got key fumbles, won football games. You bring a head coach in, and instantly he don't give him a chance to get rid of him. This shit like that. The dude ain't fall off a cliff because he couldn't play no more. Dude fall off a cliff because he wasn't given a chance. So, I really had no issue with it, dude. Me personally, but hey, it is what it is. Let me know what you girls and guys think. Check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist. Thumbs up the video. Share the video. Subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications. Increase your chance to get notifications. We go live and drop video. Financially want to support the channel. Cash App, $CJ Good 313. Venmo CJ Good 313. PayPal link in description. Hit the link tree. Find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Link tree, the first link in description. Peace.